So if you're getting started, you have to embrace change within your organisation. And again, depending on the size, change is difficult for everyone, no matter what. So challenge your fixed ideas, harness the expertise of your workforce. Act now, don't wait, go and see for yourself. That's very key. So you're generally in construction, your work is happening on the ground, it's not happening in your office, okay? And I know it has to support it. But if you want to make change, go and see for yourself how the process is being delivered. Okay, it's tried and tested in lean techniques that you go and see. You go and meet the person on the ground and ask them, how are you doing? How do you carry out your work? How do you, and I'll talk a little bit about value stream mapping as well, very quickly. And that what you're doing is you're gleaning the information from the people who are doing the work. Okay, so that's very important if you're trying to start a lean program, or even if you're just trying to change a process through lean. It's not money, it's wisdom. It's about getting the information from the employees, getting the information from the people who do the work, and then helping them to change it, how to eliminate the waste in their processes. Get to the root cause whilst having respect for everyone's point of view and everyone's job, because you have to remember, there's guys in our industry who are doing this job 30, 40 years, and it's going to be very hard for them to change, so you have to respect their point of view and respect where their perspective from where they're coming from. And endlessly pursue perfection and continuously improve. So you might look at a process, you may eliminate the waste as you see it out of the process, and then you may actually then go into improving it again in a month's time, a year's time. You should continuously trying to improve. And what we found over introducing lean programs within our group, the guys are bringing new ideas, they're bringing innovation. They're saying, why don't we try this completely innovative way of doing this process? And you have to be there to listen. You can't just keep plowing on doing what you normally do. You have to continuously strive to improve. So when we started in Jones Engineering, personally I would have started back in 2003. And so if you're starting, look towards what's out there, look to the information, look where you can, there's people out there already doing it, okay? So we would have looked to the BRE back then. The best places to go, as far as I can see at the moment, is the LCI websites, whether it be the Lean Construction Institute or Lean Construction Ireland, who have a very good website you can get information. They have plans there on how to get started. It's all free. How to get started, how do I implement, where do I go for training, and it's all at all different levels. So if you're looking for information, I'd start there. And then start to look at how you do your work, how you're going to do your processes, and follow the PDCA model. Again, it's another lean technique, plan, do, check, act, or adjust, whatever way you want to call it. And if you can follow that with your processes, then you'll continue to improve. So when we got started, we did a survey of all our JEG managers and field supervision. And these were, as they saw them at the time, the reasons why productivity was affected on projects. So logistics was the biggest, materials, so that's retrieving materials, waiting for materials, how it's delivered to the site. Other trades affecting them, so not being able to work in an area because someone's already in there. Client decision making did have a big effect also. Clients change their mind, client changes design. I've already started in an area, I have to go back to it, I have to change. Client interference, so actually no, that's not what I wanted, or so your parameters of what you're doing aren't clear from the start, and you haven't engaged with your client properly, or the design team hasn't engaged with the client properly, and then you get interference from the client. Oh, actually, by the way, that's not what I meant at all. Okay, so through lean, you try and address these types of issues, and then the processes themselves. So the people on the ground didn't see the processes as being the biggest issue, right? Because they're so used to doing the processes the same way, they don't see the problems, they don't see the waste in the process. So, and that's a key element we got from that survey, is that, the processes themselves weren't seen as being the reasons why they were having productivity issues. And inherently, the process of how we do all of this, logistics, materials, the process of how we do all is the biggest issue. Because if you don't change the process of how we deliver work, then you're not going to be able to affect your logistics, your materials, your other trades. So we delve a little bit deeper, and we looked at specific issues with specific areas, again, of JEG managers and field supervision. And we asked them to be more specific. And again, it's hard to read, I know, for people down the back. So poor planning by workers, not using correct tools, not having all the materials required to hand, poor organisation, lack of training, no established process in place. Okay, so these are the primary causes for poor productivity from the guy on the ground and their managers. And then we asked them to be specific, and this one was around electrical, and that's leading me to my cable spooling. Okay, so we asked them to be even more specific around the electrical side, and they said containment was the biggest. Cable installation, glanding and termination, and panel installation were the biggest issues electrically for that survey on part of the group. So we went about looking at our processes around these, and how do we improve them? How do we look for the waste? How do we make the changes? So we've a lean program in Jones Engineering. We do a lot of lean training. We have a lean steering committee which helps determine value for us. We run a Better Way program, Eyes for Waste training, supervisor awareness training. There's lots of different training, right? Green and black belt training. We've got a number of people who are green belt trained and black belt trained. We do waste walk training. We operate lean times for continual improvement. So when we looked at these processes, we didn't just jump into changing them. We trained the people who were going to look at the process with us. But if you're starting on a smaller scale, and I'll talk to it in a few minutes, there's another way you can do it. You don't have to put as much time and effort into it. But for us, these were big processes. They were electrically across the group. The process was very similar across the whole group electrically. So we were going to take the time and effort to train the people who were going to look at that process and help improve. So in this instance, we're talking about the cable installation and how we're doing cable, how we're setting up cable pools. We also did the same for containment installation and glanding and panel, but I'm just focusing on cable spooling today. So we looked at what tools we could use as part of that training that we did for our people. There's loads of them out there. We've tried most of them. But in my experience, it's not the right thing to just jump into the tools and start trying to implement them. Okay? You need to bring your people along. You need to build up a level of expertise, and then trial different things. You can do little pilots. It's not going to cost you any money to do the odd pilot on a new process. So there's lots of different lean tools out there that you can use. The one we used to help determine the process that we had and the deficiencies in it was value stream mapping. And also to help that, obviously we applied 5S as well. And again, all of these are on the likes of the LCI website. These tools, and there's basically starter packs that explain what 5S is. You'll see lots of YouTube videos out there. The information is all freely available on the net. If you want to look at any of these tools, and again, this will be shared afterwards. So if you say to yourself, what's right first time and what's 5S, the information is all out there to get. But in this case, we used value stream mapping and we used a bit of 5S. We also looked at the 7 wastes, also called the 8 wastes now. Just-in-time deliveries is an element we used as well, and we used some Kanban. And we did a Kaizen event. So like straight away we were into lots of tools just by looking at a process. So we did some value stream mapping sessions, and the key part for this is to get the right people in the room. So we got the people from the floor who carry out the work into a room, and we started off with, and this again it's a big process for us, so we put a bit of time and effort into it. But basically we started with, it's hard to see there, the chap standing in the way, but basically that's the 8 wastes there, just to remind people what they were before we started actually evaluating the process. And then we did a post-it approach. So we had a sheet of paper, everyone has a post-it, and we asked them to write down the different process steps. So what are the different process steps in setting up a cable drum? How do you pull it? What's your current process? So from that we established the current process. That's it there. So that was the current process, and then we looked below the line here, which is the opportunity line, I'll show it here. That's the new state that came from it. But you have an opportunity line. You map all the steps in the process. You note the opportunities, and then you say what's out there to help us change the process, eliminate the waste. So in this case, we ended up with a newer process here, and that's the list of all the opportunities there on the wall. Okay, so when we list the opportunities and the waste that's there, we then look to see what tools can we use to help eliminate the waste, what steps can we eliminate, and how can we actually change the process? Is there an innovative way of doing what we currently do to help reduce the wastes? And again, keep bearing in mind, we're constantly going back to the 8 wastes, so tin, wood, so how are we transporting, having too much inventory? Is there a lot of motion involved? Is there a lot of weighting involved? Is there overproduction? Is there defects, right? What are the skills of the people being optimized? Okay? So if you look at how you're doing your process, and you apply the tin woods, and you look at the different wastes in the process. Once you get that conversation going in the room, the guys will start seeing waste all over the place, right? And again, and if you have trained them beforehand, it's even easier. So in this case, we developed a new process, and that's what the new process looks like. So, but in the interest of continual improvement, we're always looking to improve. So we still have the opportunity line, and we've got question marks across the board. So that you're always asking the question, can we improve this part of the process? Is there a step we can change to improve the process? So just as a by the way, so we obviously spend a lot of time and effort in this because it's a big process for us and it's across the whole group. You don't necessarily have to take that much time. If you're a smaller outfit, or you want to work with a smaller crew, or you want to trial with 2 or 3 guys, you can use the post-it approach. And that's very simple. You just walk to the work area with a post-it, you split it in half, you describe what the waste is, and you describe a potential countermeasure. And this is a BRE approach. It's used for CLIP, the Construction Improvement Programme that they ran in the UK. Very good approach. We would have used this for just helping to improve small areas with small crews on a trial basis. We would have done a lot of this back in 2004, 2005, that sort of time frame. So there is an easier way to do it. You don't have to have the big setup with all the people. You can do it in a smaller way as well. So this allows you to actually go and make the changes. So just as a note, to help us improve our process, we integrated BIM into it to get certainty on our lengths of cables, so that when we were calling down the lengths that we needed, we used BIM to give us our lengths from point to point, and that gave us accuracy in our lengths, which then allowed us to change the process to the new process I'm going to show you. So I have a little video to show the actual new process. All right. So we did a PDCA on BIM integration for this, and then we applied those changes to help us improve the process even further. Okay. So the cable spooling process now looks like this, from a scenario where we typically had these big drums delivered to site and manhandled around the site. But I'll show you the video and I'll come back to talking about it now, so I'll just start the video there.
In 1890, Harry Austin O'Neill returned to his native Ireland from America and established H.A. O'Neill Limited, the founding company of the Jones Engineering Group. Since our earliest days, we have navigated history's turbulent times, as well as the good times, and through it all, the group has maintained its commitment to training, education, and innovation. In our 125-year history, we've been led by just a handful of our own people. Relationships are the lifeblood of our company. Recruiting, nurturing, and developing the best people has been the cornerstone of our business across the 3 centuries. In the years to come, we will continue to do things a better way for our own people and for our clients.
We work with Jones Engineering as a company because they're a tried and tested partner. We've worked very closely for the past 15 years with them, and over the years they have driven huge improvements in terms of their efficiency and project delivery. Their embracing of lean principles has driven huge efficiencies in terms of how they deliver projects, and certainly enabling us to deliver our objectives more effectively and more efficiently.
There are an infinite number of processes both at home and at work that we engage in every day. Here's an example of one process that we've changed to our lean program. With the processes we have, the old way isn't always the best. And if I was to give an example, if I offered you a cup of coffee and I had the coffee in the kitchen, and I had the sugar in the sitting room, and I had the cup in the dining room, and I had to go between all those rooms to get the coffee and the milk and the sugar and bring them together as a process. It's absolutely ridiculous, but every day we're carrying out these processes. That was the way the old cable process was before we applied lean techniques. As we can see from the old process, there was plenty of areas that could be improved upon. Being stuck in the old ways of doing things creates an environment where we don't see the waste in the process of doing. We get busy doing rather than taking a step back and looking for improved ways of doing. In this case, a lot of time was spent waiting, manually transporting and setting up the cable to enable installation, with a lot of physical exertion required. The heavy weight of the drum also requires heavy-duty cable jacks. The rolling out is difficult and the pulling force is high because of the total weight. Cutting the cable also takes time, and the process is then all repeated to set up at the next pulling area. One of the main disadvantages of the old cable process before we applied lean techniques was that there was a major bottleneck in productivity. By listening to the people who do the work and applying lean to support their ideas, anything is possible. One such idea is to improve the way we move, store and install cables.
Jones' adaptation of lean principles has certainly helped greatly in terms of efficiency of delivery, and also from a cost effectiveness perspective.
The new way of doing our cable process, we've enabled the large drum to be delivered onto a cable reeling system by one man. The same man can actually set up smaller drums and pull it through a pulling machine and cut it to exact predetermined lengths. That allows us then to deploy those smaller drums in just-in-time delivery to the site to allow multiple pulls happen at the same time. Through that then we have zero waste on our cables. Through the just-in-time delivery we have the smaller drums coming back to the workshop for reuse. In order to continuously improve, we run a program called A Better Way. Continuous improvement is key to any successful lean program. By listening to our employees in the field, anything is possible.
The disadvantages before using lean techniques was the increased start time of a job.
The advantages of lean techniques are that we're moving on to the next job quicker, which means we're getting home to our family sooner.
Implementing the lean process led to a return on investment of less than 1 year. It also led to zero manual handling safety issues. Labour productivity increased in excess of 15%. Inventory space was reduced by 300%. Just-in-time delivery was enabled 100%, and 100% drum reuse and recycle. Cable scrap was eliminated and security requirements were reduced on site.
So as you can see from the video, and it doesn't go obviously into step by step of our actual process, but the main thing we found from the mapping sessions was that we were setting ourselves up in our schedule to manhandle big drums around the site. And what we found was we were having multiple operatives manhandling those drums around the site. So by changing to a reading system, we were able to deliver just in time before break time. The empty spools being left to be picked up at break time. The guy's come back from his break and he's got a new drum to pull in. All the pulling crews are in twos, so all the drums are small enough, light enough to be reused, and then that enabled us to actually have 10 crews running for where previously you only had 2 crews running. So it allows you to actually maximise your schedule. So your performance against schedule is actually increased tremendously, okay? And the crew sizes are still the same. So we still say you had 20 guys pulling cables, but we had, 2-man teams of 10. So 10 two-man teams pulling all at the same time. So that allowed us to be project certain on our productivity. It also meant that, and I have it in the win-wins at the end here. I'll come back to that in a second. Basically, we had 0 manual handling injuries as a result of implementing this process. Okay, so previously we had lots of back strains. Guys weren't happy. Fellas losing time and work because they're actually manhandling big drums around the site. Okay, we went from that to a scenario where a guy gets a drum with a predetermined length. He doesn't have to cut it, so a guy doesn't have to cut it with a shears or cut it with a hacksaw. It's all predetermined lengths, and he can spin the drum with his hand. We went with plastic drums as well, so if you were working in any clean room areas, you could actually use those drums in clean room areas. So 100% drum reuse and recycle, reduction in labour cost, so in excess of 15%. 100% construction PAS week on week. We didn't have a single miss on any schedule. 100% snag-free handover. So all our cables were the correct length. Our termination teams then came behind, and we had another lean process set up for our terminations. So, and again, that's another breakout session at some other stage, and I'm happy to share that with anybody who's interested. Again, 100% available work improvement, and resources were released to do it. And we share it internally within the group and through lean times. So if we want to continuously improve, we need to share it to everybody. So it's not just one crew or one site or one project. You need to share, and if you can set up some format of, so in Jones Engineering we do it through the lean times internally, and everyone gets a copy of it. All our staff gets a copy of the lean times. They're handed out at toolbox talks every week to the guys. So everybody knows that there's a new way of doing it. Everybody's interested, and then you're going to continuously improve as a company if you're able to do that. So I'm going to go to questions very quickly because we're down to the last couple of minutes.
You heavily reliant on BIM?
Not for this. You can do this. The cable spooling can be done without. So we use BIM for accuracy because of the volume. But depending on your volume of cables, you can get verification in the field from your supervision. Right? You can use the cable rollers or whatever, right? So our measurement wheels. So there's other ways of doing it. So you don't have to have BIM to do it. The cable reading system itself, a lot of the suppliers have these cable reading systems. Simply asking them to give you it in a certain way. What we found though is we can't rely on a cable manufacturer to give you that certainty, because we're probably dealing with, in a lot of cases, runs that are 30 metres, 31 metres, 32 metres, 100 metres, right? So suppliers aren't going to be able to deal with that. So that's when we went and invested in our own cable reading system.
Did you go beyond the, you're talking about you buying a roll of cable at X meters. Do you try and hold stock to try, let's say you've got a 20 metre cable left over on your 100 metre cable because you have a series of, do you try and hold stock, or is there an inventory management behind that as well?
Yeah, so part of the process is that we basically don't need to hold stock because we know exactly what we need when we need it. Okay? But what we did do is we standardised our major drums to a certain size. So we generally only get 2.5 ton drums. So we were able to standardise the sizing of those drums, and that, depending on the size of the cable, we've done it by weight, but depending on the size of the cable will determine the meterage on there, right? So from that then we can actually, we use BIM for this, but you can use a guy with a wheel for it as well. We plan ahead, we know exactly what we're going to be putting, and you maximise your drum. And that's why we got 0 scrap. So, and the only scrap we really have is from your termination, which you're going to get when you start. Yes?
Does it, do you use last planner techniques in your
Yes.
planning of work in conjunction with?
Yes. Yeah. So again, going back to the lots of different tools, last planner is one of the tools we use whilst actually doing this. So yeah, that enables us to know what workspaces we're going to be working in, and we have, with the other companies who are doing last planner with us, we know exactly when we can get in access to areas to pull cables. So yes, we use, and that's key to. So you can have as efficient workforce lined up to do the work, but if you're not using last planner or some form of planning, you're gonna end up in trouble because you won't be able to pull your cables, or you can only pull them halfway because the containment isn't finished, or you don't have a final destination for your cables.
Is it implemented across your network? Like if some fellow working in Ireland will leave you to do the same thing over in Portugal or Holland or whatever, is it?
Yeah, so it's not across our whole group yet. We have shared it across the group. A number of projects have used it so far. And the cable reading system we bought is based in Dublin. We're also looking at investing in Cork at the moment. And typically in abroad, we haven't looked to do that yet, but it's just we're rolling it out across the group. So yeah. I think we're limited on time, folks. So look, if you have any questions, I'm here for the rest of the evening. If you want to hang back and ask me, no problem sharing any information. And again, the video will be on the website. Okay.